And greetings. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in here today, live and on demand on BlazeTV, radio, and podcast. Steve Deace here with Aaron McIntyre and Todd Erzin. 888-900-3393 is the number. That's 888-900-3393. Steve at stevedeace.com is how you can email the program. That's DEACE. You can also like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Steve Deace Show. And if you're looking for clips of this show that you can sample and share with others, go to youtube.com/Steve Deace. That's youtube.com/Steve Deace. Wednesday means our weekly prophet of woe and lamentation, Daniel Horowitz, will be joining us here in the final segment of the program. And I think we are in the end game now with the data that Daniel has been poring over these last 24 hours or so and what it could possibly mean. What's the coronavirus end game? We're going to talk about that with Daniel Horowitz coming up here at about 12, depending on what time zone you're looking at, 90 minutes from now. Also, buy, sell, or hold, so you'll get a chance for the middle hour of the show to kind of control the topics and things that we talk about. We look forward to that here in about 30 minutes. Don't forget, schooling is uncertain around the country. And a lot of you are thinking, hey, maybe we can do more of this at home than we thought, particularly if I've got the right assistant. I just had a friend of mine who lives in a major metropolitan area call me and tell me the rumor going around town in the political circles he runs in is that they may cancel schools there for next year too, awaiting a vaccine. And that rumor is going around. A lot of the people, which may never arrive, by the way, that rumor is going around in a lot of the political power broker circles in where he lives there in New York City. So if you are wondering, hey, I'm looking for options here, now's the time to check out Freedom Project Academy. Over the last few months, millions of Americans have been homeschooling their kids and discovered probably how badly the public schools have failed them at the exact same time. Maybe it's time to take back your child's education. Freedom Project Academy is here to help. From the comfort, convenience, and safety of your home, your child can receive an accredited classical online education built on Judeo-Christian values for students in K through 12. This is a complete interactive educational experience where students attend live classes and with students across the country. Essentially, your kids are going to learn the stuff the people that founded and built this country learned, just in a modern 21st century virtual environment. All right, if you want to get more information about this, go to freedomforschool.com. That's freedomforschool.com. But remember, classes are filling up faster than normal because parents are concerned about the safety of their children and the availability of their schools. Freedomforschool.com is the website. That's freedomforschool.com. Here's Aaron's rundown of what happened while we were locked down.
What happened while we were locked down, brought to you by a correction. On Monday's montage, I featured a clip of Dr. Anthony Fauci telling 60 Minutes that Americans should not be wearing masks. I saw that being shared over the weekend, presented it as such, and I didn't find out till yesterday that that clip originally aired in early March. My mistake, and I apologize. Learning Chinese today, today's phrase is, so do we wear masks or not?
那我们戴口罩还是不行.
Moving on, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been hospitalized once again, this time in relation to ongoing issues with her gallbladder. A spokesperson for the justice says she plans to participate remotely in oral arguments with the Supreme Court today.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11.
Coronavirus news. New York State reported yesterday over 1,700 previously undisclosed deaths at nursing homes and adult care facilities. Neil Ferguson, one of the chief epidemiologists of Imperial College UK, who predicted 2.2 million deaths from Wuhan coronavirus in the U.S. and has been dubbed Professor Lockdown for his instrumental advocacy of the lockdown everything policies we've enjoyed for the last 2 months, has resigned from his post in the UK government after it came to light he violated lockdown orders in the UK so he could have sex with a married woman. A different UK, the University of Kentucky, is reporting a quarterly revenue loss of $160 million This comes after they built and then tore down a makeshift hospital in that university's indoor football practice facility without ever using a single bed. Hy-Vee Incorporated, the sixth largest U.S.-owned grocery store chain in the country and a ubiquitous presence in the upper Midwest, announced yesterday they're limiting customer purchases of meat products to 4 units per shopper amid shortages of pork, beef, and chicken thanks to coronavirus outbreaks at meatpacking plants. This comes after news from Wendy's that they're running out of beef as well. In completely unrelated news, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune reports as many as 10,000 hogs are being euthanized per day in their state. This is due to the aforementioned meatpacking plant outbreaks, making it so pig farmers have nowhere to sell their livestock. Shelley Luther is the Dallas, Texas salon owner who was arrested for defying orders to keep her business closed during the lockdowns. She appeared in telecourt yesterday, where Judge Eric Moy informed her that she'd be set free if she apologized and admitted that what she had done was selfish. Here's how she responded.
Judge, I would like to say that I have much respect for this court and laws. And that I've never been in this position before. And it's not some place that I want to be. But I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
Shelley Luther was sentenced to 7 days in jail. In completely unrelated news, a California man was arrested and released 3 times in 1 day recently after he was repeatedly let go based on the zero bail policy California Governor Gavin Newsom has implemented to stop the spread of coronavirus in jails. CNN, your thoughts?
One of the fundamental questions to me is what's going to be our relationship to government, the idea of government after this. And we kind of look at it at 3 levels this week. There is a primordial American tradition going back to the founders of being freedom obsessed, even though we're a country founded on slavery and genocide, being freedom obsessed to the point that we are always so afraid of the government coming for us that we are blind to other types of threats, whether it's a virus, whether it's bank malfeasance, or climate change, what have you.
Back in Texas, a park ranger in Austin tried to enforce social distancing guidelines at a city park when this happened. In California, the counties of Modoc, Yuba, and Sutter have preemptively begun to reopen parts of their economies without the approval of California Governor Gavin Newsom. Maryland Republican Governor Larry Hogan has been sued by lawmakers, pastors, and businesses in his state over his continued stay-at-home orders. Those guidelines are set to run until the end of May. And now, pandemic thoughts with Joe Biden.
This pandemic. The pandemic is that the president has no intercourse whatsoever with the rest of the world.
The self-described founder of Politico, Martin Tulchin, wrote a note to the New York Times regarding Joe Biden where he said, quote, "I don't want an investigation. I want a coronation of Joe Biden. Would he make a great president? Unlikely. Would he make a good president? Good enough. Would he make a better president than the present occupant? Absolutely. I don't want justice, whatever that may be. I want to win the removal of Donald Trump from office, and Mr. Biden is our best chance." End quote. And finally, hopefully the following is coming soon to a Little League baseball field near you. And that's what happened while we were away.
kid flipped that bat like 10 yards. That's a first down. I know it's another sport, but I was more impressed by the flip than even the hit.
That was better than what the Blue Jays guy who made the flip like
several years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, that caused a massive fight in the playoffs.
Bautista, yes.
Aaron's montage brought to you by Brick House. Unless you plan on self-isolating forever, you're going to need to be around other people again. One of the best ways to avoid getting sick is with a healthy immune system, and all year round you can do that. If you are taking advantage of products like Field of Greens from Brickhouse Nutrition, 1 scoop of Field of Greens is a full serving of real USDA certified organic fruits and vegetables, which boost energy and supports a healthy immune system. If you're out of shape and don't eat healthy, your risk is even higher. It's as simple as that. Plus, a diet full of rich in fruits and vegetables can reduce your risk for things like heart disease, hypertension, stroke, even cancer. Field of Greens also has those prebiotics and probiotics that are a great source of vitamins, fiber, and other nutrients. And right now you can save 15% off your first order of Field of Greens with the offer code Steve at BrickHouseSteve.com. That's the offer code Steve at BrickHouseSteve.com. And if you subscribe, they'll throw in an extra 10% off every month too. Right, so 15% off your first order, 10% off every month if you subscribe to BrickHouseSteve.com, promo code Steve. That's BrickHouseSteve.com, promo code Steve. The montage today is incredible. He actually dropped intercourse again. That happened again.
Yeah.
Tara Reid must be living rent-free in his head right now, that story. I mean, this is the second time he has used this word when talking about coronavirus. It's just, but that's what dementia does. They're oddities, and it's odd. But I'll tell you this: if the current occupant of the White House doesn't stop behaving like Bush in Iraq 2006 over coronavirus, President Intercourse dementia there. Or candidate intercourse dementia there is going to be president, folks.
Yep.
He's going to be president. The current occupant, yesterday, are we dissolving the task force? No, let's keep it. Who knows? It's exactly what I wrote for the Blaze today. It's what I mentioned on the show the other day. It's starting to look and sound like Bush in Iraq, where your base is ready to go to war for you, but they need you. And you're not there. So, folks are ready to MAGA. I'm ready to MAGA. I am ready to MAGA right now. Are you ready to MAGA? Are you ready to MAGA?
Well, as you know, I was 2 weeks ago, and now I'm not again.
Yeah, I am so ready to MAGA right now. But we need the MAGA dude to do that. We need him. And we kind of do and kind of don't have him right now. So we could be getting a lot more intercourse courtesy of Joe Biden when his dementia-rattled brain is in the White House instead. Trump was tweeting, well, I think next year we could have a great year with the economy. If that's your attitude, it'll be with someone else president, bro. It will be with someone else president. I have a good friend of mine that sent a text to a high-ranking official in the White House today. And he said to him, he goes, I'm warning you now. You're for or against, all right? At this point, your guy is either leading the charge or he's in our way. So, and me and a few others are going to start behaving like the latter if some stuff doesn't change. So, as a friend, I just wanted to warn you of that now. Now, I've seen it in my inbox for the last week or so. You're pretty frustrated and fed up too. The story of Hy-Vee. Here's why you should be concerned about that. It's not that they're the 6th largest grocery store chain, it's where they're located.
Yep.
They are at the epicenter of your food supply chain. The Iowa farmer we had on the other day, Hy-Vee would be one of his biggest customers. So there's 5 other grocers bigger than Hy-Vee, but there's probably none of them that are as close to the origination of our food supply source as Hy-Vee is. So if they're reading the market like that, be very concerned about what that means going forward. The story of Shelley Luther, and it's been 16 hours. How come Governor Abbott hasn't pardoned her yet?
No good answer.
No good answer. Should have happened in 16 minutes. Should have happened like right away. Should have been pardoned right away. And if that story, if that doesn't frost your nuts enough, I bring you glad tidings of great joy here this morning. Because next week, while Shelley Luther is in a Texas jail cell for just trying to be an American making an honest living, up to 25,000 Chinese are going to be allowed into Shanghai Disneyland when that reopens. How you like them apples? How's that one taste for you? That do it for you? You like that? As the great prophet Kirk Cousins once said, you like it. You like it. You like it. Admit it. You like that one, don't you? I'm not saying I'm like trying to encourage you to like mass protest. But if you did, I wouldn't disapprove. That is tar and feather time. But we've been saying that a lot, haven't we? That is tar and feather time. Here is what's really happening. And what you're going to learn here over just today and over the course of the next couple of weeks here, as we get into the end game, is you're going to learn that everything, we actually knew much more about this than we thought the very beginning, or at least that we were told. And everything that we were told at the beginning when we were told not to panic, wash your hands a lot. If you're running a temp, if you're sick, don't go to work. We need to take care of the elderly. Everything, get out in the sun. Everything that we were told from the very beginning. When Anthony Fauci was telling us, like Frank Drebin, nothing to see here before he became our high priest of panic porn. Everything we were told from the very beginning is coming around again to be true. And it's going to prompt a larger conversation. And that larger conversation is, I mean, if we knew this 53 days ago when Dr. Ioannidis for Stanford wrote his peer-reviewed paper, and everything in it is proving to be true, even the nursing home death rate is proving to be true. Everything he wrote. But he was ignored. Why was he ignored? Why was Stanford ignored? Why was Oxford ignored? Why was Carnegie Mellon ignored? Why was Rockefeller ignored? Why was Sweden ignored? Well, after it was derided, and then when it didn't provide them the body bags they so wanted, ignored. Why? Why? See, we're going to want to know the answer to this question. Because all the experts were not in on this. This is not the expert class versus the plebes. There were plenty of experts. As I've pointed out to you all along, why was Dr. Katz at Yale ignored? Why? He was writing, this was the wrong path, like on March 17th. Remember how we first got into this story when a bunch of you wanted us to listen to the interview Joe Rogan did with Dr. Michael Osterholm, the director of the Center for Infectious Diseases, worked for the last 5 presidents and for a time this one. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I listened to that entire hour and a half conversation. And he was writing in the Washington Post just a few days after Dr. Katz. These shutdowns just, they're not going to do what you want them to do. The data doesn't show it changes really anything. And there's too high a cost to pay. Why was he ignored? Why? I'm going to answer today. I'm going to tell you right now why. And it's actually something I've told you before. See, what we're in the midst of here is a cultural Pearl Harbor. We had this conversation well over a month ago. And there have been those of you that have questioned why I've called this a cultural Pearl Harbor, and you've claimed I'm overstating how every potential antidote to this pandemic has been the stuff of leftist nocturnal emissions. And these are the things they have intercourse to, are these sorts of notions. They don't fire up the Barry White. They fantasize about this. This is their muse. Every single solution to this virus that has been prescribed, every single antidote has been the stuff of leftist fever dreams, nocturnal emissions. Let's run down the list, shall we? Government alone gets to determine what private businesses are essential or non-essential, and under penalty of criminal arrest if you dare disagree. This is the new picking winners and losers on a Lance Armstrong steroid cocktail. Next, The churches mostly had to close, but the Planned Parenthoods mostly got to stay open. We're not driving our cars because there's nowhere to go. We're not flying in planes because we're quarantined. Thus, our carbon footprints are approaching Green New Deal proportions. Turn in your neighbors, use cell phone records to track your movements, and contact tracing of the masses in order to monitor and restrict your freedom of movement, all of which empower government and diminish our individual liberty. Like freedom of speech via protest is now deemed non-essential. Your rights have been suspended, as the cops in Mississippi said, because of the virus, which means at any point, based on questionable data or no data at all, government can just turn the Constitution off. Government determines your children's schooling or lack thereof, whether you can leave your home, and then where you can go when you do. Jurisdictions created to provide checks and balances that protect freedoms have been erased, like states now are attempting to take control of national parks and interstate travel. Federalism is supposed to work both ways, not for states' rights, but individual rights. Governments don't have rights, individuals do. Unemployment checks, they're now more than you'd make working. Proto versions of universal basic income called stimulus checks. Taking individual responsibility for your health with more sun, vitamin C and D, more activity, etc. That's either now been deemed kooky or de-incentivized altogether, in place of just hunker down and wait for big pharma and big government to deliver the glorious vaccine that may never come to descend from on high. The sports world, one of the last bastions of masculine-driven meritocracy leftists haven't already destroyed, canceled, or postponed. That the whole country has to be treated like New York, and really New York City and a few other big cities crushed by this virus gives you but a preview of what life without the electoral college they hate looks like. The state is the supreme being, determining whether churches can be open, whether your private business can be open, whether your private school can be open, whether your home and private property can be open. God-given rights, null and void. And here's the ultimate lawlessness that it looks like. Scores of dirtbag prisoners are set free while the law-abiding are detained inside their homes. This is like John Milton, Al Pacino's great rant at the end of The Devil's Advocate. Chaos theory, but it has come to life. This is the antidote that the leftists have prescribed. It's the America leftists want. And we have been told it is the only possible antidote that we could possibly ask for or want. And if you disagree, you're deplatformed and banned, which is also what the leftists want. It is time now. It is time for the man that was elected on an agenda to oppose this to get off his ass and do his damn job. And that is to grab hold of the bully pulpit and lead the charge. No more timidity. No more. Saw that look on that Fox town hall the other night. How many times? Nope. No. People are going to jail in Texas for being Americans. What do you think they'll do to you in Massachusetts, California, New York? The places where the leftists get their way. Right now in Oregon, they're demanding that for you to reopen, your county has to show you have fewer illnesses than COVID-19, or flu has fewer, or COVID-19 has fewer illnesses than the flu. Why? Why does Oregon's government want to make sure that COVID-19 is worse than the flu? Why? Why do they want to make sure that that's the case with the data? Because what was the original talking point that was used to say it's not worth shutting the country down? Well, it's just a really bad flu. You're not permitted to say that. Even though all the data shows if you're under 70 and not in a nursing home, it's far less lethal than the flu. If you're over 70 and in a nursing home, it's far worse. But you're not permitted to say that. Even though the White House's own task force, when they put out the maps that show you which states are doing worse and better than others, what do they say? What's it say on the chart? What's the word?
ILI, influenza-like illness.
Yes, even though they're the ones lumping it all together, but we're still not allowed to say it. While Dr. Birx in her eminent wisdom does. It's time to MAGA, sir. paraphrase one of the great movie lines from one of the great comedies of all time. Where's the MAGA at? Where's the MAGA at? Where's the MAGA at? When this show is asking for MAGA, you've lost your balls. Where's your nerve, sir? Enough. Enough, enough, enough. Your people are ready to fight. Where's their general? Gentlemen, your thoughts.
I said on March 23rd, it's not enough to just reopen the country. You have to win an argument here. Because even then, this was 10 days into the lockdown, maybe 13, maybe 2 weeks into the lockdown. Even then, it was obvious that these antidotes that were being prescribed, that you just ran down the list of, that we've been enjoying for the last almost 2 months now, it was clear that there was going to be no dissension allowed from that. So it was obvious that it was not just enough to reopen the country. You had to win an argument here. Otherwise, we were going to spend literally the rest of our lives pushing back against the notion that, see, statist control over your life works. Give the state more power. And that's all that we've seen. That is every jot and tittle of what we have seen over the last 2 months. Our friend Shannon Joy from New York put it brilliantly yesterday, among other things, when she said, they're just tyrants, guys. It's not about the science. Well, it's about the science. It's not about the real science. It's about scientism and statism. Those are the isms that have been on display over and over the last 7 weeks. It was never about protecting people's lives. It was never about protecting grandpa and grandma. It was never about, well, we said it was about flattening the curve. It wasn't about that. It was just about power and tyranny. Power and tyranny. Shelley Luther is sitting in jail for opening up a business. The guy in California is probably getting arrested 3 more times today and being let out because, well, we can't let the virus spread through the jails. What sense does that make? It doesn't. This is not about the virus anymore. And perhaps the most disappointing thing about all of this is that multiple times, I know you and the audience have as well, have probably gotten your hopes up. I know I have, that maybe the guy who listened to us, who was propelled to victory in 2016 against all odds because of people like you listening to this show, actually showing up and voting, the guy who was voted into office to protect you and to represent your interests is kowtowing to Dr. Panicky Fauci and the home-wrecking Neil Ferguson. He of the 2.2 million people will die models. Why? There are no good answers. But it's still salvageable. He just has to move his ass. That's all. That's all. Show some fortitude. Enough with the task force. Enough with the models. Enough with the panic. We're done with that. The American people en masse are done with that. Enough. It's time to move on.
You need to pick between Shelley and that guy on Aaron's montage, the coiffed young guy who talked about America's weird obsession with freedom. You have to pick. Open war is upon you, whether you wish it or not. We've been telling you that. I've been saying it all on a regular basis. Well, if you believed in transgenderism as just a fait accompli, it's on. Open war is upon you. You cannot tolerate this. You absolutely have to pick. Aaron posted something today, Ebony Maw's speech from the beginning of Infinity War. He's absolutely right. They mean to rule you. They've been ruling you for quite some time. They are legion, and there's that scene of gun-toting officers who seem to be way more ready to do this than perhaps any of you thought, are going to take a lot more of your life away for you than you ever thought possible 1 month ago. You have to pick.
That judge told Shelley Luther that your individual liberty cannot conflict with what the government believes, what the government wants. You can't share a country with that view. You know who had that view? King George III. All right, be honest. Since the lockdown started, have your fitness lifestyle goals, weight loss goals, have they fallen by the wayside? That's why they're calling it the Quarantine 15. Well, now that the warmer weather is here, why don't we hit the reboot button on 2020 and declare May now the new January and get on track with your weight loss goals. Doctor-developed Riduzone is an excellent way to curb those cravings for the fattening foods that taste so good, but can derail your discipline. Backed by 2 U.S. patents, Riduzone is the only FDA-accepted product that includes OEA, the naturally occurring molecule that helps you feel full faster while burning stored fat so that you can reduce your calorie intake. Riduzone makes it easier to resist those cravings that can make it hard to stay on the wagon, because it's often not what you're eating, but how much. And right now, if you use the promo code Steve, you can get up to 65% off and free shipping. Up to 65% off plus free shipping, but you can only get Riduzone on its website at riduzone.com. Riduzone, Riduzone for riduzone.com. Use the promo code Steve to get that big discount as well as the free shipping. Promo code Steve at riduzone.com. Let's get to buy, sell, or hold. This is when our producer Aaron, with a little help from you out in the audience, his few friends, you guys put forth a series of predictions, prophecies, statements, lists, what have you. Todd, you and I will decide, are we buying or selling that? It could be on any topic, who knows? And hopefully we have at least one good reason why we are choosing a buy or sell. We have decided to restore your right to hold, but that also means that if you do take the once a month permitted punk out, you will be treated with scorn and mockery for violating the dude code. Aaron.
There are some good submissions today. We'll start with this one from Chia Jesus Nehemiah chapter 5, who says, psychology research shows it takes on average 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. The lockdowns will continue on some level until the bulk of the population has been sufficiently trained to live under statist control.
Bye.
Tell me why you're buying that before I answer, if you don't mind. Didn't mean to bark in order. Hey, just I want to know why you're buying before I give my answer.
Because I don't think they could have possibly, whatever road to hell is paved with good intentions this started with. I don't think anybody really knew. I would have never believed that our sheep status, had this been fully dialed up to 11. We're sitting there letting a hairdresser in Texas be the vanguard of freedom here, and no one is going full. That state should be full Alamo right now. We're even worse than I thought, and that's saying something, because this show subtitle for how long now could have been "It's Worse Than You Think."
Yes.
That's a good answer.
We're giving it to them.
It's a good answer. I'm going to disagree, though. I'm going to sell. And the reason I'm going to sell is because I think this has only been permitted because the conditioning that he is saying is ongoing has already occurred. That we have been, and I've been saying this on the show for over a year, we are in a state of cold civil war. What the judge down in Texas said to Shelley Luther yesterday, that your liberty cannot get in the way of what the government deems proper. That view is simply not reconcilable with the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Mayflower Compact, the Declaration of Independence, basically everything that is a bedrock of our way of life, every founding document, that view is not reconcilable with it. That's statist. That is statism. That is, the state is the supreme being, as I just laid out. And what we discussed, at the top of the show. There has already been, I go back to the conversation, Noah Rothman, classic neocon, the conversation him and I had, what was that, 3 years ago, about when do we tell judges no? We've already been living under this for a long time. It's why we had been at that point too. Yeah. It's why you have Roe v. Wade. It's why they've used the courts to impose almost everything they've done to the country.
To your point, it is like a perfect providential reminder that the nuns, as we speak, are back under fire at the Supreme Court.
Yes. I think, oh boy, should I say this?
Yes.
I think what's hurt us here Oh, man. Okay. I think what's hurt us here is there's too many Republicans in office. Okay.
Go on.
And here's what I mean by that. If there was a Democratic governor of Texas right now, and a woman in Texas, a salon owner, was put in a jail for a week while jail cells are being emptied, I mean, I don't even know what Texans would do with that.
If you thought the guns at the Michigan State House was something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what Texans would do with that. But it's the Republican governor, and he opened up the state last week, and, you know, let's email him, and let's tweet him, and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I've got a connection, let's text him. I mean, hey, I'll admit to it. I'll admit I'm a part of this. If Beto O'Rourke had won the Texas Senate seat, I would have jumped in. We'd be doing this show live on like Facebook Live on our phones in front of the Texas governor's mansion or state house right now. That's how fired up I'd be. Instead, I texted Ted Cruz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the psychology of this, that you can't, that's part of the human dynamic of how we're built relationally. If a Democrat were in the White House right now, what would our reactions be? I mean, I'll give our people credit. There's been a lot of reaction with a Republican y'all like in the White House, let alone a Republican you don't. I mean, there's a Republican that is very popular with our base, and our base is still pissed, right?
Yes.
Okay? And they like him a lot more than they like the Bush, McCain, Romney wing of the party. They like him a lot more than that, and they're still not happy. But if they felt like it was free, like it wasn't going to risk anything this November, like risk a crack in your base that would cost you an election this November, what would our base be doing right now? Well, we know what they'd be doing. We saw the Tea Party marches on Washington. The 1,000 was it Beck that had that rally, that Tea Party rally in Washington? Or was that another Beck rally I was thinking of? But I mean, I remember those days. Do you remember those days? The crowds, we'd be seeing that all over the country. And there's too many Republican governors. The Republican governor in Maryland, the Republican governor in Massachusetts. If you had Democratic governors there right now, people would be losing their damned minds. Losing their damn minds. And it wouldn't just be our people too. And people kind of are, but they'd be far more militant about it. If you had a Republican governor in Virginia, and it wouldn't just be our people, you'd find that there's actually a lot more Democrats that agree with you than you think. They just don't hold any positions of power in this political party anymore. They have no influence in this political party anymore because it's a leftist party. But you'd find there's quite a few more Democrats, particularly ones that are non-white. You'd find they would absolutely agree with you on it if they felt like it was free for them to stand up and say something because it was the Republican. The dynamic works the other way too. There's too many Republicans in power. And that has a positive, right? You're stacking the Supreme Court right now. Although, in my opinion, you're 1 for 2. All right. But you're stacking the federal judiciary right now. And even if Daniel Horowitz's pessimism is true, and it likely is, that maybe 1/3 of these guys are really, and gals are good, that's still 100% more than you would have gotten if Hillary had won, right? I mean, you're still batting 300. You'd be batting nothing if Hillary had won, right? Okay. So there's trade-offs to this. And the trade-off was I promise you, and I know this for a fact, we had the president's attention at the end of March when the initial guidelines were about to expire. And that's why you saw him saying the things he was saying. I want sports back. I'm getting on calls with the commissioners. We got to reopen the country. The cure can't be worse than the disease. Remember when he was saying stuff like that? We had his attention.
And then poof.
And we lost it in April.
IHME.
Yes. Fauci Birx. Yeah. You don't have his attention right now. You got to get his attention. And the reason why you're seeing some of these states now, I mean, some of Oregon's stipulations are stupid, but a week ago it was going to be you're going to be closed till July 6th. Now they're at least giving you conditions. California is actually going to let some retailers and others open on Friday. And they were basically like, see you in 2024, 10 days ago. The reason you're getting some of those accommodations is because you took it upon yourself. You went to the streets and said, we're not having it. And there's too many. And the reason why is because the majority of the people that do, the majority of the people that cannot work from home, that own the small businesses, that are not too big to fail, vote Republican. The majority of people who can work from home, that work for companies that are too big to fail, or are wards of the state, vote Democrat. That's why you're at a disadvantage right now politically, because politics is not about access. This is the biggest tactical mistake the American right has made in this last generation. The American right believes this is about access. A friend of mine was talking to somebody he knows really well, who's who's a major conservative media figure, and said, hey, will you help me get the White House's attention? And this person said, I can only do so much, otherwise, I won't be listened to, I won't have access. See, it's not the way the left thinks. I mean, the Tara Reid story came from The Intercept and Business Insider and the Young Turks. The left understands politics is a game of leverage. It is not a game of access. Fundraising is a game of access, right? If you're an AD at a major university or the director of development for a nonprofit, fundraising is a game of access. Relationships, I know. How do I network? But politics is not a game of access. Politics is a game of leverage. Whoever has the most leverage gets their way. You have demonstrated, even mildly, these have been mild protests compared to what leftists do, but even mild protests, people sitting in their cars in Michigan, even had forced Gretchen Whitmer out of her spider hole to jump on MSNBC. Cockroaches don't like the sunlight. And neither do the cockroaches wearing your uniforms, okay? You're giving your guys too much of a pass. You want to really move those Democratic governors? You're getting some movement from them now. Oh, you want to really move Gretchen Whitmer? Unload on Larry Hogan. I mean, that was one of the big arguments for Trump in the primary in 2016. Right? Dude, look how ruthless I am to Lion Ted and Little Marco and Low Energy Jeb. I'm ruthless to the people whose votes and support I want and need. Imagine what I will do to Hillary Clinton, right? That's leverage. That's understanding politics is a game of leverage. You want to move these Democrat governors more? Let them see how you're willing to treat the people you do like, the people you vote for. You're not having it. You're done. It is a game of leverage. It is not a game of access. It's a game of access if your quest is direct fundraising marketing. It's a game of access if your number one goal is, can I put on the Family Values Conference Summit in Washington every September and get A-list speakers? Then yes, absolutely, it is a game of access. Yes. But if you want to move policy, it is a game of leverage. And that is why we are not a nation of laws, and we never will be. We are a nation of political will, and always will be.
Well said. Moving on, Konstantinos Rodaitis has a bold statement. Joe Biden will be dropped before he picks a VP candidate, and thus the convention's top two candidates will be Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg. Mayor Pete will win out and be the nominee.
I'm going to sell. There's too many specifics there. I still don't believe Joe Biden will be the nominee, but I don't believe they're going to bring in a guy that's the mayor of Podunk, Indiana, out of nowhere. No, I don't believe that.
I'm selling because I don't care.
Dave Ebert says the accusations against Biden will come to a boil over the summer, and he'll be replaced by a sitting governor due to his health.
I could buy that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that may be the real reason, or the right reason, but not the real one. Yeah, I'll buy that. Because here's the reality. If Joe Biden would win if the election were today, he would win. But the election is not today, and Donald Trump is being given a lot of rope. A lot of rope. I mean, it's what you said, Aaron, in the last segment. It's later than it should be, but it still ain't too late. Know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, if he just pivots a little bit more onto the road of MAGA and American renewal and restoration, and solidifies and rallies his base, and forces Joe Biden to have to daily come out and talk, like what you see in these clips when he actually does. That's a house of cards. And that has the potential, because here's the thing, presidential elections are not the same as midterm elections. And Donald Trump, there was a lot of split voting in 2016. A lot of people that went ahead and didn't like Hillary Clinton and voted for Trump. You won't see that much of that with Trump as an incumbent. He's at the top of the ticket now. Like Marco Rubio got like 200,000 more votes in Florida than Donald Trump did in 2016. That will not happen this year. The Republican Party is defined by Donald Trump. And that happens in any party when you elect a president and they've been in office for 4 years. They are the branding of the party. People will not separate from that point forward. They will view you the way they view him. And so if Donald Trump rebounds strong and starts winning Pennsylvania and Michigan and Ohio and all these states again, it's going to cost Democrats down the ballot in ways it didn't in 2016. So at this point, this is about the president showing confident, competent leadership so that the spotlight goes on Joe Biden and his dementia. Right now, he is not showing confident and competent leadership. And so Joe Biden is looked at as a viable alternative because he's the alternative, and that's what they want.
Sal, stop. Do not concern yourself anymore with Joe Biden questions. This is entirely in Trump's court. Period. End of sentence.
We'll come back. More buy, sell, or hold coming up here in hour 2. Stay tuned. Back at it here with hour 2, live and on demand on Blaze TV, radio, podcast. Steve Deace here with Todd Erzin and Aaron McIntyre. 888-900-3393. That's 888-900-3393. Steve at stevedeace.com is how you can email us. That's DEACE. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Steve Deace Show. If you are a podcast listener to the program, thank you very much. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review if you haven't done so already. And even if you have, maybe just use your Ghost account and do several more. I don't know if those count in the algorithm, but I'm willing to find out. Let's try. Let's see if that works. All right. Because the more of those we get, the more it helps the show to grow and then pleases the benevolent overlords we must, that are very capricious and difficult to please. But we must please them nevertheless here for this show to remain. So please keep those 5-star reviews coming. Our weekly prophet of woe and lamentation, Daniel Horowitz, will be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Rough Greens VitaSmart wants you to know something you might not know, though, about your dog's food. That dry kibble stuff, there's nothing alive in it. Food like that has to have a long shelf life for mass consumption, so the manufacturers have to sterilize it. That results in the food your dog getting lacking the nutrients your pet needs to have a happy, healthy life. Same thing going on with our human food. That's why we're taking so many supplements today. It's going on with our pets as well. And that's why Rough Greens isn't a dog food. It's powder that you sprinkle on the food that contains massive amounts of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, probiotics, even omega oils and antioxidants that can support healthy skin and coat while improving digestion. So give your dog youthful energy and improve mobility and joint health. Plus, best of all, your dog's going to love it. Apparently, it tastes great. Our dog Cap absolutely loves this stuff. You can take the Rough Greens 14-day Jumpstart Challenge today for just $14.95 and see the difference in your dog in 14 days or less. If you want to see your dog thrive again, go to roughgreens.com/blaze. RUFF is how you spell Rough Greens. Roughgreens.com/blaze. Again, that's roughgreens.com/blaze. Let's get back to buy, sell, or hold. Aaron.
This one's from Rev AG, who says Frank Gore's ultimate goal is to play for every team in the NFL.
He's going into year 16.
37 years old.
With the New York Jets playing the position in this league that has the shortest shelf life, and that's tailback.
His son, to put this in perspective for you, his son, Frank Gore's son, is a freshman at Southern Miss.
he is.
And to do it at tailback, as you said.
Yeah, he's a physical
crazy.
marvel. I mean, he has to be one of the most durable, healthy human beings in the last couple of decades. I'm serious. The amount of carries that he's had, the pounding that he has taken at that position. I mean, we saw a guy on the way to a Hall of Fame quarterback career, Andrew Luck, retire after 6 seasons. He couldn't take the injuries anymore and what that was doing to him. And that's a position where, I mean, if you fall on the guy wrong at quarterback, it's a penalty, right? And I just think he's just a badass, man. Frank Gore. And the word too is he's a phenomenal human being. That's the word about him as well. So he's just a man's man, man. He's a dude.
Yeah, and whether this year works out or not, it's almost like you turn 30 and instantly no matter who you are, you can't produce as you once did. I mean, this isn't like he's just 32. He's been productive. I mean, because LaDainian Tomlinson went from like, walking on water to like, yeah, should we trade him? He's just kind of not cut out for this anymore. I mean, it seems like that it happens to running back after running back, yet he's not just like loitering around as a backup. The guy, they give the ball to the guy.
Because here's the thing too, it's not even the durability into and of itself would be incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
But the quick twitch that you have to have so there are so many guys, there are guys that run for 2,000 yards in college. That couldn't make it in the NFL. The holes close so fast. The coordination, the balance, the vision. I mean, you have to be at an elite level anyway, and you're doing that at I had to bust out reading glasses at 37 years old. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not even just the durability in and of itself is just, we're not worthy kind of stuff. But then to just continue to be able to excel at the rate that he is at a position that requires the utmost athleticism at the same time, it's just a marvel, man. If he were if we did this like with horses and breeding, could you imagine Frank Gore's stud fee? I mean, what's going on in those genes and that DNA?
Well said. Russell Lerno says, because I gotta know, the 70s Chicago band was better than the Chicago band of the 80s.
Oh, I'm going to sell on that. And I'm trying, I watched this documentary on Chicago on Netflix a couple of years ago, and it was a good documentary, and I'm trying to get into, horn section era. I tried after this, and 25 or 6-4 is a classic song, but the rest of it, I'm just like... I hate to say it, man. I frankly prefer sappy love song
Schlocky
Peter
80s.
Cetera, schlocky Chicago more. I'm the ugly American. All right. I remember couple skate to You're the Inspiration. All right. And maybe it's poor taste and nostalgia both. I don't know. Okay. But I'm much more into hard for me to say I'm sorry than horn section Chicago from 1978.
I have no problem with 80s Chicago, and I'm not some great student of 70s Chicago, but you don't need to have much of a musical ear to understand that they were flat out musicians in the 70s, and then they just, they kind of put it on cruise control there and earned some money. And
Peter Cetera convinced them. Now, guys, let me show you how we're going to get rich doing this. All right. And I mean, the documentary even points that out. I think it's still on Netflix. It basically points out that Cetera was like, we're either going to do the stuff that's going to sell a poop ton of records or I'm going solo. So they decided they couldn't lose him and they did a bunch of stuff. They did the stuff that sold a poop ton of records. Yeah.
John Endicott. Probably one of the best submissions we've received for a few months. He says, much of the lockdown culture will be lifted by the end of May, not due to a recognition of truth, but because the gay lobby won't allow Pride Month to be overshadowed by something as insignificant as a global pandemic.
Golf clap.
Yeah.
I almost feel like we should retire this segment after that.
It's just...
I mean, I don't know. It's 12:08. You got 22 minutes. Aaron, you got to learn how to sequence things, okay? You can't, I know you're just taking the path of least resistance and just grabbing things in order. But
Am I doing that though?
Something this good, you can't ask 22 more minutes of buy, sell, or hold propositions to follow that. That is so absolutely genius. On that, we have been, where's the three-dimensional chess at? We've been wondering where that's at the last few years. That, folks, that's three-dimensional chess right there. I mean, that is sheer brilliance. I don't even want to buy that. I feel like I'm not intellectually worthy to do anything other than just recognize. You know what I'm saying? Just got to recognize the greatness of that proposition. That is so good.
Yeah, I just need to keep a beer around for excellence like that, so you could just hear me crack it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Richard Vickroy says, assuming no fans in attendance this fall, the NFL will significantly reduce or give away their Sunday ticket package this year and make it up from advertisers to further solidify the shield.
Bye. I'm already seeing evidence that you're right. I got an email. I canceled I've had Sunday ticket. I mean, I got DirecTV in 2000 to get the NFL Sunday ticket. And so I had this for nearly 20 years. And then finally the Lions had just done enough. I can actually afford it more than I could ever afford it before now. The principle of it, paying to watch them torture me in this way, I just couldn't do it anymore. And so this past season, I canceled the Sunday ticket with my DirecTV and just got NFL Red Zone channel through PlayStation Vue, which is out of business now. And I got an email from DirecTV last week. Hey, we're giving you the Sunday ticket for free. We want you back. You can have it for free this season. And like the whole thing, like the Red Zone, the Max, and all the fantasy channels, we're giving to you the whole thing for free. I think I said this to you, Todd. When I got that email, my initial read was that they're trying to boost their numbers as much as they can because Amazon and everybody's coming after the rights to that Sunday ticket right now. But this is an angle I had not considered that could be even more accurate, which is the NFL is going to give all this stuff away for free because the advertising rates are what's going to make up for a lack of fans in the stands potentially, or the lack of any fans in the stands. I think that's a solid theory. I'll buy that.
Yeah, I'll accept it. I mean, in some manner of speaking, I don't know the background, but I mean, we here at the Blaze right now we've had amazing deals right now for joining the Blaze, right?
Right. We have our cheapest. Yeah. Thank you for that. We have our least expensive. One of our listeners got on me for saying, don't say cheap. It's the most inexpensive subscription we've ever had. $5 and change a month. BlazeTV.com/Deace, promo code Steve if you want to take advantage of it.
But the goal, you get them on the hook during a certain time, and you hope you provide the level of content that keeps them around for the long haul. Smart.
As my nephew would say, this deal is cheap, but the product is not cheaply made.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jim Stocker says the federal government will attempt to make the coronavirus vaccine mandatory. Bye.
Trouble's a coming, folks. If one exists, trouble is a coming.
Attempt is the key word there.
Attempt?
Yeah.
Meaning that there will be some legislation, probably from Democrats in Congress, saying you have to do this. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Whether it gets the votes or anything. Okay. But there will be, I will agree there will be an attempt of some kind. That attempt could just be one singular piece of legislation that never even makes it out of a subcommittee. So I will agree that there will be an attempt. Yeah. But that also still buys into the notion that there will be a vaccine. And reading up on the one that the antibody vaccine out of Israel, it looks very promising that they were promoting a couple of days ago. I think you better prepare yourself that this isn't the measles vaccine you're going to get. Okay? If it arrives, all right? If it happens, this isn't going to be the measles vaccine, the chickenpox vaccine, the polio vaccine. This is going to be the flu vaccine. And it's going to have a very questionable efficacy rate. And it's going to be more, or it's going to be almost as psychologically beneficial for people, like feeling like it's because I got this, it's safe for me. Its psychological impact will have a far greater efficacy than the pathology of the vaccine itself, based on what I'm reading. I think we're not looking at something where they put a needle in my butt for chicken pox when I was 2 and I don't get it again. I don't think that's what most people think this is going to be. And I don't think that's what you're going to get if you get one.
You're buying, Todd.
Oh, that's why everything Steve said is why they have to attempt to make it mandatory.
Yep. Simply Manna says most churches will stay closed until their legal advisors, such as Christian Law Association, tell them it's okay to open again without any legal issues or danger from any government agency.
You are on the right track.
I'm going to sell. I think virtually every church in America will be open by the end of this month.
Todd, you want to say anything more?
There's no time.
Well, let me rephrase that.
On that?
I think virtually every Protestant, let me rephrase that some more. Virtually every evangelical church in America will be open by the end of this month. I can't speak for what, the archdiocese will do, or I could see the virtue signaling strong with liberal Protestantism, because there's not a lot of people that go to their churches anyway. But I think by the end of this month, virtually every evangelical church in America will be open.
And from a Catholic perspective, I don't know for sure, but I'm simply buying the notion of them or thinking about the legal ramifications about all this, and wrongly so, in my opinion, just constantly being dominated by the parameters of this world.
Devin Hensley says Christians will continue to be oblivious to the spiritual warfare raging around them in the name of health and well-being. They'll instead see the battle as merely political left versus political right.
I don't know what that means, so I'm going to sell. I don't know what it means.
I'll buy. I think it echoes what I was just talking about. Too many people will not learn any lessons. They will go back to normal. Their faith will be lived out through a political paradigm primarily instead of a spiritual one. Yeah.
Well, if that's what that means, I buy, but I don't know that that's what that means. I don't know what it means.
Such Mavis says a majority of these tyrannical local and state officials will be reelected in November because of metabolism.
I'll buy that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Going back decades, it's over 91 or 92% of incumbents in Congress get reelected. So, bye.
Yeah.
Your Tribalism Sucks says Sweden not being on the woke science is peak progressivism in 2020. Hashtag not as socialist as advertised.
Oh, I think yes. I think you're finding out, by the way, who really is down to clown with socialism. Who actually believes in the leftist, the liberal mantras of tolerance, diversity, follow the science. And what you're finding is those things, similar to the race baiting we've witnessed and things of that nature, those things, they don't believe in those things. Those things are wills to power, tools to acquire power. And that they're actually just iconoclastic leftists who hate anything of any certainty, anything that would tell them. I was reading something yesterday, and that just the author meant this. I could tell by the tone, or I shouldn't say I can tell. I guessed by the tone of the way he was communicating this, that he was trying to undermine Sweden in the way that he used this data. Do you know what I think you may have seen it yesterday too, using some of the Apple data that's out there about where people are going and mobility and stuff that Aaron cited yesterday in his montage.
Forbes piece.
Yeah, from the Forbes piece that Americans are by and large just done with social distancing. If you look at the Apple movement data out there.
Yes.
Well, what I was reading something yesterday. I can't remember the gentleman who wrote it. Otherwise, I'd give him credit or blame. But he mentioned that, when you look at the Apple mobile data in Sweden, it's really not that much different than a lot of these major cities. So now he was looking at Stockholm, for example. He said, Stockholm is not much different than a lot of these major cities that have their tepid reopenings just now. So this idea that all these restaurants and everything are packed in Sweden doesn't seem to be true if you look at the Apple mobile data. And he meant for that to be an undermining of Sweden's approach to say, see,
that bolsters it even more.
It bolsters it even more because
you can trust people to make good decisions.
Yes. I mean, the reality is Sweden has taken what progressivism claims to believe and installed it. Human nature is basically good. That if you give people enough education from the state, they can make the right decision. Isn't that what progressives say they believe? Human nature is basically good. If we educate people with the right decisions, they'll make them on their own, right? That's what they say they believe, but they don't. Maybe that's what progressivism in Sweden believes. And so, folks like us who put the fun in fundamentalism, we'd actually have the argument with them that we think we're having with the American leftists, that we're not having. We're not having that argument. Sweden actually believes in this stuff. They're sincere. We're not having that argument. We're fighting an invasion. We're fighting a cultural conquest. And in the end game is just statism. I get control of the state to do whatever I want with it. If my guy sexually harasses women or assaults them, I can just make it go away if I want. Down the memory hole we go. If I want to release prisoners, down the memory hole we go. I want to release illegals into your neighborhood, not mine, down the memory hole we go. That's really all that this is. It's not an ideology. It's a cult. How many more years do I have to point this out? Sweden is driven, is what it looks like when when people of the left are actually driven by the ideology they claim they believe. They followed real science. They would not be happy about people like us moving there to preach our word, to preach what we think. They'd fight us on that. But there's a consistency there. There's no consistency here, and the reason why is because this is just about power. That's all it's about. And the Stonewall riots are more important than the signing of the Declaration of Independence until Dave Rubin types decide that that I'm not for this insanity, and then suddenly he might as well change his name to Franklin Graham. Know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's all that this is about. That's all that it's about. It's just simply about power. Kick Samaritan's Purse out. Who cares how many people they're actually helping at that field hospital? And there will be no Rainbow Jihad charity taking their place there in Central Park, by the way. That ain't happening. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because it's just about the power. That's all that it's about. It's just about the power and the control. If I have to adjust my way of thinking on leftism because of what I've witnessed in this virus, I may have to draw a distinction between the leftism you see in Sweden, which is a truer pursuit of their ideological beliefs, and what we see here in our country, which is just nothing other than I will believe whatever I want to believe that gets me the result that I want at the time, and you can't stop me. Period.
Yeah, I'm buying, and from my own personal life, there's this. If you don't want to be myopic, you do not want to live in these silos. When you want to see if there's something you can learn, always from somebody who is in largely another tribe, and if you have that ability, you can see this as human beings. In my experience, both with vaccination issue, midwifery, things like that, there's been this crossing of streams, this very interesting overlay of conservative and liberal, and so that's what's surviving there in my eyes. In Sweden, there's an everyman's truth that they didn't jettison in the name of their progressivism, and thank God they didn't.
Grant Asaski says Cam Newton signs a deal similar to the one Jameis Winston just did, but with the Atlanta Falcons. So 1-year deal with the Falcons. You believe Cam Newton is going there?
I mean, I don't know. They got a quarterback right now who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Matt Ryan will be a Hall of Famer. You got a coach who's on a win now or you're out.
Didn't Jameis Winston go to New Orleans?
Yeah, but that's because Drew Brees is well established. And Jameis Winston could only be a backup. He threw 30 interceptions last year. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Also, they just had a backup quarterback bail them out last year when Drew Brees got hurt. And they lost that guy to the Carolina Panthers. So I don't know. Maybe he's got a point. I mean, I think he'll sign a 1-year deal somewhere. I don't know about the Falcons, but I'll buy it.
I'll sell. I think it's maybe just as likely as that guy retires. I mean, he's kind of a Fruit Loop. He always has been, and it's getting weirder and weirder. He may just be out.
Patrick Walsh.
I think there's more concern about that than his shoulder, by the way.
Yeah,
because it's because that matters more with the position that he plays because he brands your whole franchise. Yeah, agreed.
Patrick Walsh says top 5 reasons for not wearing a mask in New York. Number 5, I'm a healthy 48-year-old male. Number 4, King Cuomo said I have to. Number 3, my body, my choice. Number 2, even in metrosexual New York, it violates the dude code. And number 1, because someone has to be the shepherd amongst the sheep. I would put number 3 at number 1.
I agree with you.
And number 4 at number 2.
Good list. I'll buy, but I'd have number 3, number 1.
Yeah, I love that. It's time to be an oil man, HW says. The NFL kickoff game is Texans-Chiefs with no fans present.
So we're talking...
The first Thursday night game.
Late August?
No, that would be like September
or no,
10th.
It is
It would be
September,
after Labor Day. Yeah. I'm going to sell that there will be no fans present. I'm going to sell.
I'll buy.
Chuck Gregory says, similar to how Smoot-Hawley sunk Hoover's legacy in history, the Corona Task Force will sink Trump's standing in history.
That's a great analogy. You know, the reason I'm using a rock is more people are going to know what that is. And it's more recent and they can remember it. Plus, I am purposefully attempting to sting the White House and Trump world by comparing them to the Bushes, whom they absolutely detest with the heat of 1,000 suns, and the feeling is mutual on the other end. So I'm poking the bear by doing that. But that's historically a phenomenal analogy. I'm going to sell, though, with the hopes that you're wrong, because if you're wrong, a lot of what we think and believe is going down with him. That's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in getting attention. Because whether we like it or not, a lot of what we think and believe now is tied to him. That's just, you may not like it. You may want that to not be the case. I mean, you know, I can do 52 push-ups in a minute. I'm 46 years old. I'd like to still not have this little pot belly, despite that, peering over the flap of my gym shorts, but I do. All right, so you can rail on Facebook about things you don't want to be true, but doesn't make them any less so. The reality is our fates are largely intertwined with him at this point, particularly if he fails on a Hoover scale. We can't permit that to happen, or at least need to do everything we can to avoid that happening. Whether you like him or not, it's irrelevant. I just, I don't care. Just like I didn't care when you told me I had to like him 4 years ago. I don't care now that you're telling me that you're not going to. Okay, cool. Just understand what the consequences for that are going to be. They're going to be systemic if he fails on that level. So I'm going to sell just on the hope that does not happen.
I sympathize with that. I'm going to buy, because if he does not right this ship, those that are going to write history are going to take over power, and they're going to make sure the historical story is that level of failure.
You're all going to get Howard Zinned.
Yeah.
You're all going to get 1619 projected. Yes. Every last one of you. So I'm glad, the last remaining few of you holding on, that refuse on your Facebook pages and in my comment section. Just understand, if he does fail, all of the people that will be writing history afterwards will give you no credit at all, but you'll be lumped in with him nevertheless, like you were the cheerleader the whole time.
Let's get through as many as we can in the next 70 seconds or so. Darth Erzin says a vaccine is found for COVID-19 before the DOJ prosecutes and jails anyone involved in the FBI Russian Flynn scandal.
Sell.
Well, the spirit of it I agree with, so I'll buy.
Thomas Deerling says we should be more inclined to wear face masks if they were sponsored by Brondo.
Bye. I should make a Brondo face mask.
There you go.
Bye.
Bye.
Wolverine says the MSM, or mainstream media, will never investigate Fauci's involvement with securing a multi-million-dollar grant in 2015 to the Wuhan Virology Lab. It was Newsweek.
It was Newsweek that did that originally. So, and they're fairly left. I'll sell. It's unlikely, but if in a couple of months, if Fauci decides to become Team Open Up because he sees that's the right side of history, I could see him suddenly be fair game. You know what I'm saying? So I'll sell. I think never. It's highly unlikely, but never. I wouldn't say never.
I'll go in the opposite direction, even though like this morning in the shower, I had like Hannibal Lecter visions of this guy's level of complicity in all of this all the way along. I mean, we are at the very least now. And I gave him way much more room than Steve did.
Yeah, I didn't trust him day one.
Early on, because I'm so used to people like him who just, whether they're doctors or not, who have just swallowed the Kool-Aid whole, aren't necessarily nefarious, although driven in what they're doing, not necessarily nefarious. But with this stuff, we're at the very least right now in what did he know and when did he know it territory. I absolutely believe that.
I agree with that. Yeah, I do. All right. Shocking data. What's going on in the nursing homes? Weren't we doing these lockdowns to protect the elderly? And what's it mean? Daniel Horowitz is next. Hey, if you're thinking of replacing your carpets this spring or summer due to pet stains and odors before you make that big buy, make sure you check out Genesis 950 because it's an amazing pet stain and odor remover, and it's made in America. With Genesis 950, it breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so that they are gone for good, and its antibacterial component removes pet stains and odors from the carpet as well as the padding. It can be used in your carpet cleaning machines, and it's so green that it's safe for your family and friends as well. You can use this to clean the whole house. The bathrooms, kitchens, countertops, granite quartz, garage floor, oil, grease stains, engines, wheels, tools, upholstery, everything. But where it really shines for you in saving a ton of money is before you buy new carpets, make sure you try Genesis 950. And if you go to genesis950.com right now and use the promo code BLAZE, pardon me, you'll get a discount. Promo code BLAZE to get a discount at genesis950.com. That's genesis950.com, promo code BLAZE. Let's get to our weekly prophet of woe and lamentation. Daniel Horowitz is joining us here now to take us inside politics. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just make sure to vote Republican so they don't take away our liberty and bankrupt us.
Right. And remember, Texas is your conservative Valhalla or something, right?
I know we have to make sure it doesn't turn blue.
Right. You know, exactly. Yeah. That would suck if it did. Yeah. So I've been teasing this the entire show. I have literally firebombed every other coronavirus related topic today. There's nothing left. Every other coronavirus topic, if it were a battlefield, it'd be Dresden in the fall of 44 right now. There's nothing. There's just nothing there. All right, there's just blank sticks coming out of ground. I have firebombed it all. But I left one thing that I've been teasing the entire show for you, my friend. All right? Because I think what you have stumbled upon in your research here is the end game of where this concludes. Let me just start with a basic question. What's happening in our nursing homes right now?
Steve, well, you have to answer that by asking what's happening in our entire country. You know, something peculiar happened. The hospitalizations were way down. Anecdotally, everyone realized the peak was over. Even the lockdown crowd was just arguing that it will go up if you open things up, but everyone realized we're over it. Yet the deaths were going up and up and up. Thousands every day. It's surging past 70,000. It looks like they're going to get to 100,000. And it just doesn't reflect anything. We were trying to figure out what's going on. And now, is there some padding of the numbers? Well, clearly they admitted to that. And that's a whole discussion. But then I started to see something very interesting. To begin with, a massive share of the deaths were in nursing homes. And then every time I would write a column, I would reference back my data point, and I would see that it jumped. and all jumped dramatically, all in the same direction in every state. So in one state, for example, in Virginia, what was 22% of all statewide deaths were in nursing homes or long care facilities. Just 2 weeks ago, it's now up to 44%. And in most other states, in Minnesota it was at 75, now it's at 85. In Pennsylvania, it was at 51, now it's at 67. In Massachusetts, it was at 47, now it's at 59. And every single state has that. Connecticut went from 40 to 55. New Jersey, which had a wider spread, so it roped in, it killed a lot more people, it was at 39%, now it's at 50. And the numbers are accelerating every day. And then I realized, when I heard on a conference call with reporters and the Minnesota health director, that 16 of 18 deaths one day were in nursing homes. And then on May 1st in Pennsylvania, 55 of 62 deaths in one day were in nursing homes. So before we get to the here and now, just the general, and then let's talk about what's happening now, which is the most important public policy question right now and has very severe implications for our society and for the nursing homes. It appears, we don't have the full denominator, but it appears that the majority of states, the composition that nursing home or long-term facility, care facility deaths comprise is more than 50%, some 75 to 80%. Total. That's from the beginning of this entire epidemic till now. All deaths. You'll be hard-pressed to find a state that's in the 40s or 30s. The lowest might be about 35%. 36 is where New York is, which, again, had so much more death everywhere else than anywhere else did. I am now confident that if you took New York City out of the equation, at least half the deaths from beginning to end in the entire rest of the country were in nursing homes. Wrap your brain around that for 1 minute. Just that sheer fact of what that means. Now, if you look at the acceleration of the last 2 weeks, it means that the overwhelming majority of the deaths, and in some states, almost all of them to a number, are in nursing homes. At a minimum, that means that right now, almost nobody is dying outside a nursing home, and the few that are clearly are elderly outside nursing homes or underlying health conditions. By the way, nursing homes plus underlying health conditions, not seniors plus underlying health, nursing homes plus underlying health conditions account for 99.24% of Minnesota deaths, but it's similar in most states, and even New York, it's certainly going to be above 90 in every state. So that means we destroyed our entire country, Steve. We destroyed our entire country, our liberty, our economy, our healthcare, and everything. And yet we missed the one area where it was. We doused a flame in a building by spreading water over a whole city, hoping it will somehow seep into that building and not targeting that building. So not only did we do this all for nothing, but in doing so, the lockdown actually killed Grandpa. Because what we clearly did was we expended all the masks, the PPE, the testing on everyone. People that if you isolate them to young and healthy, it is, as we proved, well under 0.1% for that cohort. And now we have a torrent of deaths in nursing homes. And they're still talking about this lockdown and the epidemic as if it's going on. We have a public health crisis and a morality crisis going on in our nursing home care that has nothing to do with the epidemic. Now, the next half of the question is, well, okay, it makes sense that it would linger there longer, it would be more acute there, and that it's essentially over in most other places. But why is the surge of deaths in nursing homes appear to be more severe than the peak, even in nursing homes? And Steve, I don't have an answer to that. But there's no good answer to that. There's several potential answers, my friend. They're all bad. They're all bad. As far as I can tell, they're all bad. And the least bad I can come up with
is we just fired an elephant gun at a mouse. That we were, or the analogy that you used, we exhausted so much energy on these lockdowns that we committed an act of tragic buffoonery by failing to secure the most vulnerable among us. That is the best answer. That's we created the Obamacare website of coronavirus answers. That's the best answer, because the other answers are probably places that you and I don't feel real comfortable going to at this particular moment.
Well, Steve, I'll go to one of those places, and I don't know if this is it, but we have already proved that in the general population, there is some degree of inflation that we don't know. In other words, if they're saying 72,000 died, I would venture to say clearly the majority are legit, but is it more really like 50,000? We have the Illinois, the director of Illinois healthcare. She said blatantly, and this is a direct quote, even if there was, quote, a clear alternate cause of death, unquote, as long as they tested positive for COVID, they are included. So that's not even respiratory stuff. It could be heart,
Debbie
stroke.
Birx has said this on the record multiple times. But
this was very, I mean, she really laid it out and said it very clear. Because with Birx, they're saying, well, maybe it means someone with, diabetes, but clearly they died from it. It's just that we couldn't confirm it. That's when we weren't testing. This is the opposite. We did confirm it. They tested positive. But remember, what do we know, Steve, now? This is not Ebola, where it's rare and 50% death. No, this is everywhere. Millions upon millions have it. Very small death. So now when you get them in the hospital, you really have to verify, did they indeed die from it? Some of them clearly did. A lot of them in New York did. But clearly a lot are not. So that we know for sure. Now take that over to nursing homes and look at the timing. Look, people in nursing homes on average, often last 6 months in many places. Every week there's going to be a good number of deaths no matter what. Are a certain amount of them being coded as COVID? Remember, we know once you get it into a confined place, 100% get it. Mm-hmm. I'm exaggerating, maybe 70, 80. We see that from the prisons.
Yeah, Cuomo's out there today wondering aloud, how come the number one new infection place in New York City are indoors in these households that have been locked down the whole time? Like he wasn't warned about this for weeks, that this is what would happen. Yes.
Exactly. So we know they're all getting it. So it's very simple. You're COVID. You're in a nursing home, you die. Well, you died of COVID. Well, look, it's a much higher rate of death than other cohorts, but it's not 100%. And they die from many other things. And I don't know this, but it's the only explanation I have for why it's overshooting even the peak that, because it wasn't until a few weeks ago that all the states started with this presumptive death category that they're throwing in there. But here's the deal, Steve. I don't have for the other states, but let me share with your viewers a data point here that I think is very much needed. Typically, when you have presumptive versus confirmed, so the overwhelming majority are confirmed, and then they have a certain amount that's much smaller that they add on, and they are included, I believe, in the national total, all of the states' presumptive numbers. But if you go to New York City, they break out the nursing home deaths. As of yesterday, it was 4,813, okay? You look at confirmed, it's 2274. You look at presumed, it's 2539. So there's more presumed than confirmed. Something's not adding up there.
Unless, and this is why I'm suggesting we're in the end game with this data trend. You need to hit your numbers. You need to justify a shutdown. You need to justify why you did this, and there's plenty of politicians, Republicans and Democrats, that are on the hook for this. From 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue down to, governor, tyrannical Democrat, petty tyrant governors in California and beyond. Everybody, pretty much, to some degree, with a few exceptions like Iowa, North Dakota, a few places. Everyone else in politics, right or left, R or D, is on the hook for this shutdown. They need some justification to declare a win. All of them do. Like a TARP, they all voted for it. They need something to show that it worked. And one way is you just cynically just start piling up death stats with dead bodies in nursing homes. You hit your 100,000 mark, June 1, dissolve your coronavirus task force. We saved the country. Gavin Newsom lets you go back to the beaches again. Hey, we did it. And that's why you needed to listen to us. We told you 100,000 were going to die. 100,000 did die. And then the next time we rattle our zippers, you better come hither. I mean, that could be another rationale for what's happening here.
Well, the two tie together. I mean, that would be the rationale for seeing the acceleration of deaths, because it really, Steve, it does appear that way. We were proven right on every single aspect of this. But the one thing that's kind of flying in the face of this is they didn't get their 2.2 million, but they started then with 100 to 240,000, and then even the government revised it to roughly 65,000. And then suddenly it just took off like a rocket ship after the peak, what appeared to be the peak, and it just keeps going up thousands every day. And the reality doesn't reflect that.
You're not going to do autopsies of 84-year-olds in long-term care facilities like you would a 16 or a 25 or a 39-year-old healthy individual. So if you wanted to just pad your stats, these are the marks to hit. Let's face it, a lot of these people are forgotten by their family members most of the year. That's why they're placed there. They're considered by most people in America kind of, burdens to carry, right? They're the perfect vehicle by which to hit your statistical model number and justify everything that you did to this country because of these models.
And look, I don't know, but here's what I do know. It is indefensible and immoral for our government, state and federal, to keep this going on and not produce daily the following very simple data, which they absolutely have. How many each day in each state died in a nursing home and died outside a nursing home? How many inside and outside died on that day? Or how many are you recording that day but died sometime before? Because we know it's too hard to tell. We know this is going on. The 1,700 from yesterday in the nursing homes in New York were backfilled. Some places are backfilled. I can't tell. But that shouldn't be my problem. And number 3, and this should have always been done, a stratification of the data by health status and age every single day. And Steve, if you would show those 3 things, well, you probably couldn't show it.
And that's why they're not. And that, my friend, is why they don't. That's why they don't. That's why I think we're in the end game here. We're padding our stats now to justify what we did here during the first and second quarter of this year. That's what I think is going on. But we shall see. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Take care.
You guys have a quick thought on that conversation with Daniel Horowitz?
So I think another analogy that could be used here, if you don't mind, is if Neil Ferguson, the epidemiologist of the 2.2 million Americans are going to die doomsday prophecy, it would be like if his married lover, mistress, came to him and said, "Listen, Neil, I know we're fornicating together, but I really think that we should keep this whole relationship thing on the DL here. Let's just keep this under wraps." And instead of doing that, Neil Ferguson says, "No, I think we actually need to dissolve every single marriage in the United Kingdom." That's what this response to the coronavirus pandemic has been. Instead of taking a measured approach, which we could have done from the very beginning. I said this at the beginning of the show. I don't know if I said it. I said it to you before the show 50 days ago today. John Ioannidis from Stanford, the epidemiologist, wrote for Stat News and noted that some strains of coronavirus, specifically noting that once they get into nursing homes, they can cause a case fatality rate of 8%. We knew this 50 days ago. Instead, we insisted on locking everything down. And at the end of the day, we ended up not even being able to lock down the most vulnerable. Complete utter failure.
You didn't save your 401k at the expense of Grandpa. You lost your 401k and Grandpa. You lost them both. John 3:17.